Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that touches all of us at some point in our lives, the challenge of letting go and the courage it takes to find happiness on our own. Letting go can feel like a loss, but in truth, it's often an invitation, a chance to grow, heal, and reconnect with ourselves. Here's the thing: when we cling to people, situations, or relationships that no longer serve us, we end up carrying emotional weight that isn't ours to bear. And when we finally let go, we're faced with the fear of being alone. But being alone isn't something to be feared. It's a sacred space where we discover who we truly are. Learning to be happy alone isn't about closing yourself off from the world. It's about opening up to yourself. It's about realizing that your joy, your worth, and your peace don't depend on anyone else. They're already within you, waiting for you to claim them. Letting go is often misunderstood. In a world that glorifies perseverance, holding on can feel like the right thing to do. We're taught to fight for relationships, to cling to dreams, to refuse to quit even when holding on comes at the cost of our well-being. But here's the truth: letting go is not an act of defeat. It's an act of profound strength and self-respect. When we let go, we're not giving up on what mattered to us. We're choosing to release what is no longer aligned with our growth. We're saying, this chapter has served its purpose, and now it's time to move forward. That's not failure, that's wisdom. It's recognizing that clinging to something out of fear or habit doesn't make it meaningful, it makes it heavy. Letting go is a gift because it creates space for healing, for new beginnings, and for possibilities we couldn't see while we were so focused on holding tight. It allows us to clear the emotional clutter that keeps us stuck and make room for clarity and freedom. Think about it: when your hands are full of what no longer serves you, how can you reach for what's next? It's also a gift to others. Sometimes we hold on to relationships not because they're healthy, but because we're afraid of what will happen if we let go. We fear losing that connection or leaving someone behind. But staying in a space of resentment, frustration, or stagnation doesn't serve anyone. Letting go can be the most loving act. It gives others the freedom to grow, to find their own path, and to thrive in ways they couldn't while tethered to us. The hardest part of letting go is confronting the stories we tell ourselves about what it means. We equate it with failure, with not trying hard enough, with being unworthy of what we desire. But those stories are just that, stories. Letting go isn't an admission of inadequacy. It's a declaration of enoughness. It's saying, I am enough as I am, and I don't need to carry this weight any longer. It's important to acknowledge that letting go isn't easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and trust. Courage to face the discomfort of change, vulnerability to admit when something isn't working, and trust that what's ahead will be better suited to who we're becoming. It's a process, not a moment, a series of small, brave choices to release what doesn't align with your peace and purpose. So the next time you're faced with the need to let go, remind yourself this is not a failure. It's a gift. It's a chance to honor where you've been, respect where you are, and embrace where you're going. Letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new, something lighter, something better. And that is a beautiful act of courage and love. There's a deeply ingrained belief in our culture that being alone is a problem to be solved. We grow up with stories that glorify partnerships, friendships, and being surrounded by others as markers of success and happiness. While human connection is undeniably important, the idea that we are incomplete without others is a harmful myth. Being alone doesn't mean you're lacking something, it means you're with yourself. And if you think about it, isn't that the most important relationship of all? Society may teach us to fear solitude, but it's often in those quiet, solitary moments that we truly meet ourselves. We hear the thoughts we've been too busy to listen to, we process emotions we've been avoiding, and we discover strengths we didn't know we had. Let's take a moment to reframe what it means to be alone. Aloneness is not a void, it's a space. It's a canvas where you can paint your desires, dreams, and boundaries without interference. When you're alone, you get to define your life on your terms. You learn to make decisions based on your values, not someone else's expectations. You realize that your worth isn't tied to the number of people in your life, but to the depth of the relationship you have with yourself. Being alone also gives you the opportunity to grow in ways that aren't always possible in the presence of others. It's a time for reflection, for asking yourself hard questions, and for seeking the answers within. Who am I when no one else is watching? What do I truly want? What brings me joy, not because it pleases someone else, but because it feeds my soul? This journey of self-discovery is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. When you embrace being alone, you stop seeking external validation. You realize that you don't need someone else to tell you that you're enough, because you already know it. You stop looking for someone to complete you because you understand that you are already whole. Of course, being alone can feel uncomfortable at first. We're conditioned to fill silence with noise and to avoid the vulnerability that comes with solitude, but discomfort is where growth happens. When you lean into that discomfort, you begin to build resilience. You learn to sit with your emotions rather than running from them. And in doing so, you gain a sense of inner peace that no external relationship can provide. Being alone doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means standing in your own power, whether or not others are by your side. It means being open to connection, but not dependent on it for your happiness. It's not about isolation, it's about independence. Imagine the freedom of knowing that you can thrive in your own company. You can pursue your passions, follow your dreams, and build a life that feels true to you without needing someone else to validate it. That's not loneliness, that's liberation. So the next time you find yourself alone, don't see it as a lack. See it as an opportunity, a sacred moment to reconnect with yourself. Alone doesn't mean incomplete. It means whole. It means empowered. It means free. And when you embrace that truth, you'll find that being alone isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. One of the biggest misconceptions we carry is the belief that happiness comes from external sources, other people, achievements, possessions, or circumstances. We think I'll be happy when I find the right partner, land the perfect job, or reach that milestone, but here's the truth: happiness isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's something you cultivate within. When we tie our happiness to external factors, we give away our power. We place our emotional well-being in the hands of things we can't fully control. What happens when the relationship ends, the job changes, or life doesn't go as planned? If our happiness depends on those things, it becomes as fragile as a house built on sand. But when we recognize that happiness is an inside job, everything changes. It's an empowering realization because it means you don't have to wait for life to be perfect to feel joy. You can create it right here and now, no matter your circumstances. Happiness from within starts with self-awareness. It's about understanding what truly brings you joy, not what society tells you should make you happy. It's about asking yourself what lights me up, what makes me feel alive, and then pursuing those things unapologetically. It also involves gratitude. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you begin to see how abundant your life already is. Gratitude shifts your perspective and trains your mind to look for the good, even in challenging times. It's a simple but powerful way to cultivate happiness from within. Another key to internal happiness is self-compassion. Too often, we are our own harshest critics, believing that we can only be happy once we've fixed all our flaws or achieved all our goals. But happiness doesn't come from perfection. It comes from accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all. When you treat yourself with kindness, you create a sense of peace that radiates outward. Happiness as an inside job also means taking responsibility for your emotions. It's easy to blame others or circumstances for how we feel, but the truth is, no one else can make you happy. They can add to your joy, but they can't create it for you. It's up to you to decide how you respond to life's ups and downs. This doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine when it's not. Happiness isn't about denying difficult emotions, it's about finding balance. It's about acknowledging the hard times while still choosing to look for moments of light. It's about knowing that even in the darkest seasons, you have the power to nurture a spark of joy within yourself. Cultivating internal happiness takes practice. It's a daily commitment to prioritize your well-being, set healthy boundaries, and make choices that align with your values. It means learning to find joy in the small things of sunrise, a kind word, a quiet moment of peace. When you understand that happiness is an inside job, you free yourself from the constant chase for more. You stop looking for others to fill your emotional cup and realize that you hold the pitcher. And as you pour into yourself, you'll find that your happiness doesn't just benefit you, it spills over into everything and everyone around you. So remember, you don't have to wait for happiness. You don't have to earn it or find it in someone else. It's already within you, waiting to be nurtured. Start there. Start with you. Because true happiness begins and ends with the relationship you have with yourself. Loving yourself first sounds simple in theory, but in practice it takes immense courage. Why? Because self-love challenges some of the deepest fears and insecurities we hold. It requires us to confront the parts of ourselves we've been taught to hide, to prioritize our needs in a world that often glorifies self-sacrifice, and to believe that we are worthy of love just as we are. Self-love isn't selfish. It's not about placing yourself above others or ignoring their needs. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. When you neglect your own well-being, you risk showing up for others as a shadow of yourself, exhausted, resentful, or unfulfilled. Loving yourself first ensures that you have the energy, peace, and wholeness to love others more fully. The courage to love yourself begins with self-acceptance. It's easy to love the parts of ourselves we're proud of, the achievements, the talents, the qualities others admire. But real self-love asks us to embrace the parts we'd rather hide, the mistakes, the insecurities, the imperfections. It's saying to yourself, I am enough, even on my hardest days. This kind of love takes bravery because it means letting go of the approval of others. Many of us spend years seeking validation from outside sources, partners, friends, colleagues, believing that their acceptance makes us worthy. But true self-love comes from knowing your worth independently of anyone else's opinion. It's about standing firm in who you are, even when others don't understand or agree. Loving yourself first also means setting boundaries. It takes courage to say no, to walk away from situations that drain you, or to prioritize your needs over others' expectations. Boundaries are acts of self-respect, and enforcing them can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser. But boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines for how you want to be treated. They protect your peace and ensure that the love you give to others doesn't come at the expense of the love you owe yourself. Another aspect of self-love is forgiving yourself. We are often quick to offer compassion to others, but slow to extend the same grace to ourselves. Loving yourself first means letting go of the guilt and shame you carry for past mistakes. It's about recognizing that you are a work in progress and that growth comes from imperfection. Choosing to love yourself also means investing in your own happiness and growth. It's giving yourself permission to pursue your dreams, to take care of your physical and mental health, and to prioritize activities that bring you joy. It's saying, I deserve to live a life that feels good to me. This journey is not without challenges. Loving yourself first often means unlearning years of conditioning that told you your value lies in how much you give to others or how well you fit societal expectations. It requires patience and persistence to rewrite those narratives. But the rewards are profound. When you love yourself first, you build a foundation of confidence, resilience, and peace. You stop looking for others to complete you because you realize you are already whole. You attract healthier relationships because you know how you deserve to be treated. And most importantly, you become your own safe haven, a source of love and support that you can always rely on. Loving yourself first isn't a destination, it's a practice. It's choosing every day in small and big ways to honor your worth, even when it feels uncomfortable or inconvenient. It's a bold, brave act of saying to yourself, I matter. And when you have the courage to love yourself first, you don't just transform your relationship with yourself, you transform the way you show up in the world. You lead with authenticity, strength, and an open heart. And that is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to those around you. As we wrap up, I want you to take a moment to reflect on this journey we've explored today, the courage to let go. the power of finding happiness within yourself, and the strength to love yourself first. Life will always challenge us to hold on tightly, but sometimes the greatest act of bravery is knowing when to let go. It's in those moments of release that we discover the beauty of standing on our own, the freedom of choosing ourselves, and the joy of creating a life that feels authentically ours. Remember this: you are whole, even when you stand alone. Your happiness is not something to chase, it's something to nurture within yourself. And the love you give to yourself is the foundation for all the love you share with the world. So, as you step forward, I invite you to embrace the gift of letting go, the strength of solitude, and the courage to honor your worth. Trust that what is meant for you will never require you to lose yourself. You are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. Thank you.